BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Capital Farm Credit Wednesday night podcast, our weekly look at the area athletic scene, what happened last week, and what's going on this week. I'm here with my partner via Zoom, Dan Youngblood. And tonight, Dan, we've got Billy Mathis, the head football coach of Brock, joining the show.
Yeah, and I mean, talk about a guy with a tough act to follow. You're talking about a guy who's following up Coach Chad Worrell, who started that program and obviously built them into a power very, very quickly. So a big shoes to fill there, and he's done a great job. I mean, he could not have done better. They're undefeated going into this week, into the region finals. So I mean, you've got to be very impressed, and they're playing a Whitesboro team that they've beaten during district. So this has got a great shot at this point to go to the state semifinals if they can take care of business this week at Thursday in Arlington. But yeah, I just don't think you can say enough about what he's done to come there, really kind of change the schemes on both sides of the football, but continue to keep that same standard of play. Just very, very impressive.
And before we jump into this week's show, we need to thank our primary sponsor, Capital Farm Credit, with offices all over Texas, including Stanford and Abilene. Buy your own slice of Texas with Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better. And with that, it's time to take a quick look at what happened last week and what is going down this week. We've got 6-man teams playing in their state semifinals. Our 11-man teams, are the 4 that we have remaining, are playing in regional finals. So let's jump into the Class 1A level. We've got Strawn against Richland Springs. That's set for 7 p.m. Friday in Dublin. Strawn at 13-0, Richland Springs at 11-1. You talk about 2 of the most storied programs at the 6-man level. That's it. Strawn and Richland Springs. It doesn't get much better than that, especially at the D2 level. Strawn coming off a big 66-16 win over their arch rival, Gordon, in the regional final last week.
Yeah, but I think you hit the nail on the head here. These are 2 teams that have really been dominant at that level. These are 2 teams that have made it to the state championship game, won state championships, and these are teams that you're never surprised when they're playing in a state semifinal type matchup. So a huge game with Strawn coming in undefeated at 13-0, Richland Springs 11-1, but they've really been very, very good this year. So I'm eager to see. I think Strawn has kind of been the favorite in that region, but this Richland Springs team is, like we said, one of those that comes into these situations with a lot of experience and a lot of expectations of success. So it's going to be a fun matchup for sure.
At the D1 level, we've got 2 teams still alive. We got May and we've got Westbrook. Let's start with May at 13-0, facing Abbott at 11-0, 6 p.m. Saturday in Dublin. May coming off a big win over Water Valley. That's another perennial power, 70-49 in the regional final. Then.
Yeah, I mean, these are 2 undefeated teams, but I mean, I think again, if you're looking at this, I think May's kind of been the favorite all year long in that region. They've been a team that's expected to play for, if not win, a state championship this year. And they're coming off a couple of huge wins. You mentioned the win over Water Valley, where they kind of handled them. And before that, they beat an undefeated Jonesboro team 84-55. So they've played a very high level of competition to get to this point. They've got another tough game against Abbott, but you've just got to like the way this May team is playing. They look determined, and they looked really, like I said, determined to meet the expectations for them, which from a lot of people are a state championship this year.
All right, now let's jump over to Region 2, Westbrook at 9-4, facing Happy at 10-3, 7 p.m. Friday in Slayton. Westbrook coming off a 44-41 win over Sterling City in the regional final, and nobody played a tougher schedule this year than Westbrook. That 9-4 record is misleading.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about this every week, but this is a team that like you said, loaded up that preseason schedule for moments like this. They wanted to be ready when they did play a team like Sterling City in the region championship. And like you said, coming off of a really hard fought 44-41 win. And now they got an opportunity to play Happy this week. So Westbrook, with the way they're playing, I think there were some people surprised early when they started off as slowly as they did record wise, but you're seeing now the type of team they are and why they loaded up the schedule the way they did. This is that type of team. And right now, I'm not sure there's anybody hotter than they are.
All right, now we're going to jump up to Class 2A, Region 2, Division 2. The Albany Lions are still alive. They are coming off a regional semifinal win over Munster, 34-21 last week. Windthorst over Santa. We had to say goodbye to the Santa Wildcats, who fell to Windthorst 40-7. They will hook up 7 p.m. Friday in Graham. Windthorst at 12-1, Albany at 12-0. That was an impressive win last week over a very good Munster team. for Albany.
Yeah, and I'm ashamed to say that I picked against the Lions in that one. I will not be picking against the Lions the rest of the way. So I'm sold. This Albany team at 12-0. I mean, I knew they were very, very good, but when they get off to the start they did against Munster, where they really buried them before halftime. I mean, it's just, this team is every bit as good as advertised, and this Windthorst team's obviously very good as well when you look at what they did to Santo. But I just love the way this Albany team's playing, and I don't make this. I try not to make the same mistakes twice. So I will be picking the Lions in this one, but it should be a really, really good matchup.
We spent a great deal of time talking about the defenses at Coleman and at Holly this year, but sort of under the radar has been a great defense in Albany this year. That the Lions are only giving up, at least going into that Windthorst game, they were giving up about 5 points per game. Absolutely dominant on the defensive side. And actually, that was the reason I picked them over Munster. I knew it was going to be a close game, or thought it would be. I thought just the way they were playing defensively, they were going to get enough defensive stops to get by them. They're playing lights out defensively.
Yeah, and I think they showed that last week. I mean, you talk about how well that defense has played. They shut out a really good Munster offense for a half and were able to build a 3-score lead and really put that game away before the break. So I think that kind of showed the type of defense they have and the type of team they have, and they're going to get another opportunity this week against the Windthorst team that is coming off a huge win as well. So this Albany team has been fun to watch on both sides of the ball. Not many weaknesses, and I think they showed that last week.
All right, now let's jump up to Division I in Class 2A, Region 1. 2A, a regional final. Holly 13-0 against Cisco 11-2. That is set for 7 p.m. Friday at Shotwell Stadium. A lot of people will be thinking, well, Cisco got it handed to him by Coleman, and Holly beat Coleman, so Holly's the pick automatically. I don't agree with that approach. Cisco is going to show up with their A game. It's going to be a very difficult game for Holly to get through. This is going to be a very good football game.
Yeah, I think it absolutely should be. I think this Cisco team is, and really the Cisco program is one that when they get to this time of year, they kind of flip that switch. It's playoff time in Cisco, and they're playing like it. They had the 48-point win over a solid Panhandle team, and then last week just handed it to New Deal 34-14. And granted, New Deal was playing without their starting quarterback, but still they were able to get past Forstand in a similar situation. So this Cisco team is playing really, really well. They've obviously they have that identity that they've kind of leaned on for years and years and years. And I think when they get to this time of the year, they feel confident, and we're seeing that. But they are playing an undefeated Holly team that is playing at an exceptionally high level, coming off one of the most impressive wins of any big country team all year, 21-7 over Coleman. So it's going to be a tough matchup for Cisco, but I do agree with you. I think this Cisco team will go into that one expecting to win and going in there, expecting to execute at a high enough level to be in the fourth quarter in that game and have an opportunity to make it to the state semifinals.
And with that, we're going to jump up to Class 3A, Region 1, Division 1. Brock will be taking on Whitesboro for the regional title. Brock at 13-0, Whitesboro at 9-4. That is set for 7 p.m. Thursday at Globe Life Field in Arlington. And Dan, an impressive win for Brock in the regional semis against Jim Ned. To characterize it as anything other than, just a dominant win is mischaracterizing it. They truly dominated the state champs.
Yeah, and with the way Brock had played coming into that, I thought maybe there was a chance that if they played really, really well, they might win by 2 touchdowns. But to come out and handle Jim Ned the way they did, remarkable, really, because Jim Ned was undefeated as well going into that matchup, was playing really well. So just a surprising result. But I think when you factor in, last year's game where Jim Ned did upset Brock, and a Brock team that I think thought they had a really good shot at winning a state title, I think that really factored into the motivation in that game, and it showed on the field. But a huge win for Brock, and it earns them a rematch with their District 4-3A D1, one of their rivals in Whitesboro. So it's going to be a rematch of that game, which will be fun to watch. And this Whitesboro team's good. I think they've proven that throughout the season, but they will have to kind of pass a Brock hurdle that they have not been able to do in recent years. These two teams have a lot of familiarity, and Brock has really kind of dominated this series in the last recent past.
Brock blew up one play after another in that ball game. Their defensive line got a lot of penetration and just blew up a lot of plays. It's very uncommon to see a running back like Xavier Wisher getting thrown for 3 and 4 yard losses, But I mean, that was the sort of thing that was taking place. Now, Wish had still had over 100 yards and scored 4 touchdowns, 3 on the ground, and then 1 with a scoop and score. He still had a day, but they did contain him. He didn't really, he didn't punish them the way that he had been punishing other teams. They contained him. And offensively, Jim Ned, Brock was unstoppable that day. Jim Ned simply could not stop the Eagles, who didn't punt a single time.
Yeah, and that
the ball game.
That may be the most impressive part, because Jim Ned's defense had played so well all year that Brock was able to come in there and do to them what they've done to everybody else, and just move the ball really at will and score. But it's pretty, I mean, when you look at what this Brock offense has done with the change, from their, 2 and 3 back run heavy, tight set offense to running now more of a wide open spread offense, it's pretty remarkable how quickly and seamlessly they've made that transition. And I think Tyler Moody's emergence at quarterback has been a big part of it. He's been such a steady hand for them this year. And I think they were blessed, obviously, with some skill guys that really fit that system well. You talk about the running back situation with Cutter Wilson there, and then a couple of those young kids coming in who can spell him and do damage. And they've obviously got a D1 tight end in Nathan Jones, and then a really good wideout in Eli Potts. They've got just a lot of weapons, and it makes them hard to stop, particularly when they get rolling and start to get kind of some of that momentum rolling with that tempo. So a very, very impressive performance, and one we're going to get to talk to Coach Mathis about here in a little bit.
We've got one more ball game to speak about. We've got a matchup this week between two great football teams. Stephenville at 13-0 facing Melissa 11-2. That's set for 7:30 p.m. Friday in Bedford at Pennington Field. Great ball game last week in the regional semis for Stephenville. A come-from-behind win over a very good Argyle team, and you were on hand for that one.
Yeah, and it was a great football game, and I expected it to be. I thought this was going to be a really, really good game between two teams that have some familiarity with one another, and that Argyle had ended each of Stephenville's last 2 seasons. So this was one that Stephenville really wanted to win, and they probably could not have possibly gotten off to a worse start. They opened the game, give up a 68-yard touchdown pass to fall behind 7-0, then get a little drive going on their first possession, throw a pick, touchdown the other way. They're down 14-0 less than 10 minutes into the game, and really having some trouble slowing that Argyle offense. But they finally are able to put together a touchdown drive to cut it to 7 points. And I think the turning point of that game was Argyle had a chance to go and score and go back up 2 scores before halftime, and they fumble inside their one. And it was a play where Stephenville forced the fumble. They made them work for that possession, forced the fumble, recovered in the end zone, and that allows them to go to halftime down just the 1 score. And in the second half, their defense dominated. Their defense was just outstanding. They only allowed 1 field goal drive. And the offense got going a little bit, put together a couple of scoring drives, was able to put the winning drive together with a little over 2 minutes left, and then made a stop down the stretch. But or just a great performance, a really gutty performance, and really a fun one to watch, because we've been talking all year that we think this Stephenville team's a little different, than some of theirs in the past, and that this defense has the ability to really take over a game. And that's what happened. I mean, they struggled early in the game. I think they gave about 248 yards in the first half, but they only allowed 82 yards the entire second half, really dominated the game. And then that gave the offense time to get going. And this is an offense that, you're not going to hold this Stephenville offense down all game. And that was proven in this one. The defense made enough plays to give the offense opportunities, and then the offense went and put together those scoring drives. But a really gutty performance, they made some big time pressure plays with 4th down conversions, with big, long 3rd down conversions. And just a really impressive showing by Stephenville that earns them a matchup with the top-ranked team in the state in Melissa. This is a Melissa team that has not lost since very early in the season. They've been playing very, very well. They beat that Argyle team 21-0, so that gives you some idea of what they're coming up against. They also beat Midlothian Heritage and Waco La Vega in the playoffs. So this is a Melissa team where they've played a lot of similar opponents as Stephenville has, and so these are 2 teams that there are some comparison points there, but it's just going to be, I think, a good matchup between 2 great teams.
All right, and with that, we're going to bring on Coach Billy Mathis, the head football coach of Brock. But before we do that, we want to thank our sponsors. First and foremost, Capital Farm Credit, who brings you these Wednesday night podcasts throughout the school year. Also, for the Love of the Game Broadcasting, and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of K-Lakes 93.5 FM out of Breckenridge, KATX 97.7 FM out of Eastland. Classic Country AM 1330 out of Graham, 94.7 FM KWKQ out of Graham, KROO 1430 AM out of Breck, and KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That is for the love of the game broadcasting. Also, Rob Durham, sales consultant of Bayer Chevrolet Buick Cadillac up in Breckenridge. If you're in the market for a vehicle, new or used, give Rob a shout. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet. Reach him at 254-559-2266. That's Rob Durham up at Bayer Chevrolet Buick Cadillac in Breckenridge. And finally, Phil Hill of the Abilene Realtors Group, big supporter of local athletics. If you're in the market, give him a shout at 325-669-5153 or visit his website at philhillproperties.com. And with that, Dan, it is just about time to bring on Billy Mathis of the Brock Eagles. I'm a little concerned for Brock this week. And the reason why is because they are falling in what the odds makers call, and I'll talk to Coach Mathis about this. They are falling in what they call a sandwich game. They're coming off an emotional win, and they've got something to look forward to ahead. They've got a possible state semifinal ahead. And this week they're playing a team that they've already played and they've already beaten. So you're coming off this emotional win. You got something to look forward to, and you still got to take care of a very good Whitesboro team this week. That presents Brock with a very dangerous scenario, what they call the sandwich game in Las Vegas. It's a tough game to mentally get ready for, and they've got to do that because Whitesboro is playing lights out.
Yeah, I mean, this could definitely be a trap game for them. The one thing about this Brock team, though, is I just think they're playing at such a high level, and I think that they're so focused on their goal, which is a state championship, that I have trouble seeing them not showing up ready to play a game. But it is something you have to fight because, like you said, this is a team that Brock has had a lot of success with against over the years. Sharing a district with Whitesboro. So you do have to fight that urge to look at some of those past results and think, hey, we got this. But I do like the way this Brock team's playing. I like the focus they're playing with, but they are coming off a hugely emotional win over Jim Ned. So they are going to have to find a way to get to that same, level emotionally and against a team they have had some success with. So clearly a challenge, but I think that's one that Coach Mathis will probably recognize. But I am eager to hear kind of what he says about that, because that is something that he's going to have to fight, I think, with his team this week.
And I believe he has shown ready to join the show. We're about ready to bring him on.
Let's go ahead and talk to him.
And joining us now, Brock head football coach Billy Mathis. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, Coach, off to a 13-0 start. Is this what you expected? Are you surprised? And what are the biggest keys so far to what we've seen from Brock this year?
It's always, I don't want to say a surprise going 13-0, and that's always your goal. It's tough to do. People don't realize how tough it is to go undefeated, at this time. But I knew the boys, we had the potential to do it, and we're where we're at right now. Some of the main keys was, us putting everything in from day one, and the kids accepting it, the kids buying into it all. I got a great coaching staff, and these boys that we're getting to coach every day, they're fun to be around. They're excited about what they're doing. So yes, excited that we're 13-0, and just the key is hard work and dedication every day.
And Coach, y'all are obviously coming off a very impressive win over the defending state champion Jim Ned Indians, and that was a team, I guess, that ended Brock's season last year. So I'm sure there was a lot of motivation going into that. But just how proud were you of the team just to come out there as focused as they did and execute as well as they did and score that type of victory?
Oh man, I was as proud as can be. That was a game that, from the day I got the job at Brock, that was, one of the games that was, that everybody talked about, not only the players, but the town. I think it was a big surprise last year that when Jim Ned beat Brock. Brock had been rolling, scoring, 70, 80 points on people week in and week out, and being a perennial powerhouse like they were. And Jim Ned had a good season, but, I think Brock had played them a couple of years before that in the playoffs and had beat them, handedly. And I just think it was a surprise. It wasn't a surprise the coaches that how good Jim Ned was at that time, but it was a surprise to, a lot of the people in the town. And, our boys have been focused on that game, and, everything from the lineman challenges and stuff that we had during the summer. Every time we got there, when the Jim Ned guys got there, there was a different mentality. They not only wanted to beat everybody there, but they definitely wanted to beat Jim Ned at the lineman challenges. And, when we had got this week and it was Thanksgiving, it was something that everybody had been looking forward to. Those boys had signs up in the locker rooms, of, don't forget the feeling, and it's pictures of guys on the ground and Jim Ned there at the stadium. So I was excited. I was glad. When you go into a week like this, you try to keep the emotions, pretty even keel most of the week. You don't want to get too emotional too early. And the boys did a great job of preparing. Our coaches did a great job of preparing. Then, Friday when we rolled out there was a different feeling in there. I was, I didn't think, that's always the goal. I really didn't think it was going to be 70-25. But it was one of those afternoons where things just went the right way. The ball bounced our way most of the time. But, goes back to what I said earlier: hard work, preparation, dedication, everybody being selfless, everybody going out there playing as a team and going out there and playing hard, and that's what we didn't do anything tricky. We didn't do anything different than what we've done all year long. We just went out there and played really, really hard and, played each play like it was our last play.
Coach, certain scenarios pop up that present a challenge for coaches, and you're in one this week. You're in what like odds makers would call a sandwich game, which is really dangerous for you. You're coming off a huge win over Jim Ned, a game that was an emotional game you were really preparing for a long time. And you're facing a Whitesboro team that you've already beaten once. And then you have the possibility of a state semifinal next week. So this Whitesboro game is sandwiched in between the two. You have a challenge of getting your kids ready for a very good Whitesboro team in an emotional vacuum. It's a hard spot for coaches to be in. How are you getting ready for them?
You're exactly right about that. That's one of the things we talked about, of, not listening to the people, because you know how it is. When you beat a team early, people, you play them again, people are going to come back and tell you, oh, you've already beat them, you've got this. But, this happened to us a couple of years ago. Pilot Point beat us in the regular season. And then this very round, Brock came back and beat Pilot Point. So, we brought that back up. I brought up the whole idea of and the whole preparation of getting ready for Jim Ned. We beat Whitesboro early in the season. Now they've got us on their radar, the same type of, revenge game, I guess, that you could throw out there. So luckily we've got a mature group of young men that they understand that. They're not listening to the, as Coach Saban would say, the rat poison, right? Of people telling you how good you are or this and that. We've taken the Jim Ned game. We've enjoyed the win. Now it's in the past. So now we've been focused on Coach Fagan and the Whitesboro Bearcats. So had a great start today. These boys are just they're dialed in. I'll say that, but you're right. You don't want to have that emotional letdown, and it's hard to go week in and week out and play games emotionally the way you had them. We had one earlier in the year against Peaster. Peaster is a crosstown rival. And, the boys really get up for the Peaster game. And then we had this game against Jim Ned that they had something emotionally attached to them, that really got them up for it. So, I know Whitesboro is going to have that same type of emotion toward us. So we've got to go out there. I've got to do a great job as the coach of getting our guys prepared, but getting them emotionally prepared, to go out and to go out and fight and to go out and play the way that we played last week.
And Coach, you kind of touched on this, just the kids buy in from day one. But I think one of the things that's really struck us is just the success you've had offensively, despite, changing to a new offensive system or wide open offense than they were used to. Just, I guess just talk a little bit about the way they have adapted to that system. You look what y'all are doing offensively, really have done all year long. You've got to be pleased just with the way they kind of took to your system and rolled with it.
No, offensively, I knew it was going to take a little bit of time, a lot of time really to get us going and firing on all cylinders the way that we are. I give a lot of credit to, our skill guys and really into our linemen. They spend a lot of time, doing film study, going out there to practice and really staying dialed in and focused on what we're doing. Our quarterback, Tyler Moody, has really grown probably the most in the past 3 to 4 weeks of what he does and how he runs the offense. The offense goes through the quarterback, and his understanding of where his reads are have gotten better and better each week. How he's going to read it, pre-snap keys, post-snap keys, those type of things that quarterback's got to be dialed in to do. But he works with Blake Christensen, our offensive coordinator, daily when we go in from practice, and they watch film. They get up there on the board and they go through the different coverages and the different plays of what our keys are, who we're reading, who the conflict players are, and then you get out there in a game and he's a gamer. He's a football playing dude. He's excited about what he does. He's tough on himself. He tries to be perfect all the time. In our offensive line, as athletic as they are, man, they really are the ones that make us go. And then we've got the receivers out there that, not only run great routes, catch the ball well, able to do a lot of things with them because they're, how smart they are. And then we got Cutter Wilson back there in the backfield who, when you put the ball in his hand, man, he's just absolutely electric in what he does. So, it's a combination of all those guys buying in, everything from, starting practice to film study to getting out there and just being confident in what we do. And we really don't do just a ton of different stuff. It looks different at times, but a lot of stuff's really the same stuff. But, we go into preparation of a game and say, how can we go out there and play fast? How can we go out there and be 100% confident of what our job is? And if we don't like something by Tuesday, we scrap it. We don't run it anymore. We don't run anymore Wednesday or Thursday. By the time Friday gets here, we've got our set plays that we're going to run out of what formations, passes and runs, and we go with it for Friday. So I think that's really helped the kids of them being confident in what they do. When you go out there to practice and you hit on it in practice, they feel confident going into the game doing it.
Coach, I wouldn't characterize you as a super fast tempo team, but there are more possessions in a Brock football game this year than there have been in previous years. There's more possessions. How much of an impact has that had on your ball club this year? And I just thought it's logical given your talent advantage to have more possessions. How much of an impact are we seeing because of that?
It's huge, and it's always the goal of the defense, right? To get a 3 and out, give the ball back to the offense. And, we'll have a 10 or a 12 play drive that we run the ball down there. And then there's times when we go 1 or 2 plays and go and score. So, the more times that we get the ball back, the better opportunities we have to score more. And, when you're getting the ball back to the offense pretty quick, normally your defense is doing a pretty solid job of getting it back to them. So it's a huge impact. It's just one of those things. We want to run a lot of plays. We want to run the ball a lot. We want to have time, the best time of possession. Normally when you do those type of things, your odds of winning the game really go up.
All right, Coach, we talked a lot about the offense, and you just mentioned the defense, and obviously y'all are doing some things a little differently, but still have been very, very good on that side of the football. I guess just what have been some keys to that defensive success, and kind of what have you seen from that group?
I think our defensive line probably is our strength of our defense. We've got some really talented young men down there on the defensive line, and our speed, on the backside. I think we've got a lot of speed at the linebacker spot back in the secondary. But our defensive line, not only are they strong, but they're very fast, and we're able to do a lot of different things with them. Not huge things, but we're able to, to line up and move them around pre-snap or post-snap, to where we're not just sitting there where the offense knows exactly where we're supposed to be. We can line up in our 4-3 and slide straight to a 4-2, or we can jump down into a 50. And, our kids are really smart and they're able to do those type of things. so that we can have multiple different fronts, to, try to confuse an offense. I know this, offensive coaches, they hate when the defensive line moves around. So, that we try to go and do things that are sound. We try to be gap sound at everything that we do, but we don't want to just sit there and be, sitting ducks so an offense can check to the sideline and see what coverage we're in or what front we're in and, really get a perfect play drawn up to us. So, we try to do different things. Now we're going to base out of our 4-3, cover 4 stuff, and then we go from there. So, but, our speed at the secondary and linebacker spots really helps us be able to man up and, bring 6 or 7 at a time. And, we're smart enough to jump down and, run our zone blitzes. And I think we're smart enough and talented enough to line up and run our base 4-3 cover 4. So, and it goes back to the whole preparation and confidence deal. The guys are confident in what they do. And when they're confident in what they do, they can play hard and they can play fast. And there's never a doubt in my mind when the ball is snapped that our kids are not going to play as hard as they possibly can. We go and watch film, and we check loafs. We have very few loafs on film, watching guys when the ball's on the other side of the field, they're hustling to get to the ball. We need 11 blue hats to the ball every time. And we take a lot of pride in that. We watch film and watch, the other teams, and you see loafs and stuff, and our guys are picking them out. Our guys are seeing them, the guys are saying, Coach, what would you do if I was doing that or something? They understand that you cannot go be a championship program or championship team and have guys that are not playing every play like their hair's on fire.
Coach, can you talk about the emergence of Caden Matthews up front on your defensive line? He was absolutely dominant in the Jim Ned game. And he has emerged as one of the best defensive linemen in the entire Big Country area. Oh man,
Caden Matthews, he is an absolute animal. He is what's funny about him? He plays so hard, and man, he just does so much stuff. He's so big and fast and strong. He doesn't talk very much. He'll just get over there and he plays both ways the entire game, and he never gets tired. And we'll pull him out, and he's like, Coach, why are you taking me out? I'm not tired. I said, well, it's going to give you a break here for a second, man. But he's one of those guys. He loves football. He loves playing. And when the lights come on, he's a different dude out there, and there's no doubt everybody's, when teams play us, that's who they talk about, Caden Matthews, and how they're going to, they got a game plan against him. And we move him around on the D-line a little bit, not a ton, but, we try to game plan up to where he can go in there and be really effective. So he's really good, and he's getting a lot of looks now from a lot of different colleges and stuff, which is exciting for him because he wants to go off and play college football. I think if he was 6'5", he'd be getting looks from every Division I school in the nation. But as just a football player, man, he just goes. He never misses. He's always on time. He's great in the weight room. He's great in school and great out at practice. He's one of those guys you got to tell him, hey, chill out, man. Take it easy on the scout team guys here. He just doesn't know any other gear but go. So he's really, really been impressive. He's a leader offensively and defensively.
Shifting gears a little bit to just talk about the program in general, just the success that Brock program has had. I mean, that's kind of a unique program in that it has literally been successful for its entire history. While as short as that is to this point, but just a program where these kind of seasons are kind of the expectation, and it's kind of something where you kind of stack those one on top of another, and it becomes that program tradition. Just I'm sure you knew coming into this what that situation was, but I just want to talk to you a little bit about maybe the internal pressure there, and maybe I know a lot of coaches want that. They want to have those expectations because that means that you're at a great program. So just what has that been like taking that over and just kind of been able to continue that?
There's definitely a lot of pressure, not to beat around the bush, but there's a lot of pressure. There was a lot of pressure going into this Jim Ned game. I don't know if I slept a wink. I know my wife didn't sleep a wink. So, and you come into a program, anytime you come in and you follow a coach like Coach Worrell and everything he's done, it's tough, just human nature. You don't want to go and be the guy that, that fails. You don't want to be the guy that goes and, and in this case, lose a district game or something like that. So, to be honest, there is a lot of pressure, but at the same time, you're exactly right. That type of pressure is great. That type of pressure is, built from success. It's the same stuff that Alito, when you go win a game, but if you only won by 2 touchdowns, that wasn't good enough. Those are great pressures to have. The kids feed off that type of stuff. The kids understand where they're at. They understand, hey, I don't want to be the group that doesn't hold up the expectations that everybody else has. That's why they go and they show up to every summer workout. That's why they show up to every track practice in the spring. So why they don't miss practice, over Thanksgiving or, the fall breaks that we have. Nobody misses. Nobody shows up late. Everybody's there every day, and they have fun. But when it's time to go to work, they go to work. They do not want to be that group that lets the town down. And we have such a wonderful town that, everybody comes out and supports. You go drive through Brock right now, and there's gigantic round bells everywhere with paintings all over them, saying, just different slogans and stuff all across the town. When we have our send-offs, when we leave, it takes us 15 minutes to get out of town, and it's 3 miles from the high school to the highway. But everybody lines the streets, all the elementaries, all the intermediates, middle schools, parents, all the stores that are along the way right there of 1189. Everybody's out there in the street and everybody's cheering them on. It's a unique place, and it's an exciting place. And I really do. I thank God every day that he's brought me and my family here and this coaching staff to be part of this, because it's special. It's very special. And, these boys, I tell them a lot, they don't realize, they hope they don't take it for granted how special of a place this is, that there's this many people that have this type of support and, to have this type of backing. But those boys, they work their tails off every day. They're hard nosed. They get out there. A lot of them, as soon as practice is over, they go to work, or they'll get up and, work in the mornings out on, a farm or wherever they're at, so they do a lot, and they just understand, hard work pays off, dedication pays off, discipline pays off. So yes, there is a lot of pressure, but it's a good pressure. And you're excited to have that type of pressure. I want my kids to grow up, understanding and knowing that, to be successful, it doesn't just happen, and a little bit of pressure, it makes men out of you, right? So it's kind of like a diamond, right? You got to have a lot of pressure on that coal to make that diamond. So that's what you want. You want that pressure. It's good for you. It'll make you understand how to go out and take care of business.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time, and we will see you in Arlington.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
And that was Brock head football coach Billy Mathis. And it's one thing that struck me about Brock was midway through the season, not even quite at the midway point, game 3, game 4, you could see that they had really adapted to the new systems offensively and defensively. And from that point forward, they really just exploded, absolutely exploded.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's any question that they're playing at a very high level and that they have picked up on Coach Mathis's schemes very, very quickly and really at a very high level. But one thing I want to mention is just that, I mean, you and I had a whole lot of fun covering Brock under Coach Chad Worrell, who was just a total class act in every way he ran his program. And I think it's really cool that they've followed that up with another guy who, in my opinion, runs a very similar program in those regards. So it's very cool that just the class with which that he approaches it. And obviously I think it's been very impressive that just the way he's followed a guy like Worrell, who has been such kind of a staple in that program, with a guy that built that program to what it is. He's followed it and managed to, despite all of the challenges, he's managed to maintain that same standard of play, which is really impressive to me, because that's a tough thing to do when you got a program like that is used to such success, where even a single loss can be viewed as a disappointment. And to this point, they've avoided even a single loss. So very, very impressive.
And with that, it's just about time to wrap up the Capital Farm Credit Wednesday night podcast. But before we do that, we want to remind you that we have 3 separate subscription packages here at bigcountrypreps.com. We've got a monthly for $5 a month. We've got a semi-annual 6-month subscription where we knock that price down to $4 a month. And then we've got an annual 12-month subscription where we knock the price down to $3 a month. $36 for 12 months of Big Country High School athletic coverage.
We'd also like to remind you, if you see a photo you like in any one of our galleries, those are available for purchase. You can purchase a digital download for just $7. And we also have some prints and keepsakes available. So make sure you check those out. As you're scrolling through the site, you'll notice that we take a lot of photos from these games we're at. It's something we really enjoy doing and something we are very proud of here at bigcountrypreps.com.
All Big Country, all high school, all the time. Welcome home.